I'm Avani Tanya and I'm from India. I'm a joint resident with the Delfina Foundation where I'm living and the Victoria and Albert Museum where I am an artist in residence and where I have my studio. While living at Delfina, I've shared the space with other collectors, artists that work with collections, and I'm responding to Delfina Foundation's current thematic program of Collecting as Practice. I trained as a visual artist and designer. I have been interested in the philosophy and practice of collecting and what objects mean to a collective identity. In 2012, I did a project in Bangalore. I made this book, which is a small museum in a book. The book is called The Snaptrope and Other Stories from the New Bangalore. It's a collection of photographs of objects that I found and stories that define what the city meant for me. The book tries to copy mannerisms of a museological narrative, but at the same time raises questions of authenticity. What is fact and what is fiction? The story that lends itself to the title is a rather tragic one. In 2012, there was a mock fire drill in a garment manufacturing factory, and a woman jumped off from the third floor using a safety rope. Unfortunately, the rope snapped and she died. That moment was tragic, but also a really important moment because a city like Bangalore may or may not have reached that sort of standard of safety. To me, the story captured the essence of a city trying to grapple with globalization. It's also a reference to the breaking point that Bangalore always seems like it's at. I'm here at the V&A in my studio, and I've been exploring the museum's collections, primarily their South Asia collection and its history and provenance. The archives have detailed records of when the objects were acquired, and one can really spend hours and hours just looking through these documents that not only give an insight to what the objects were, but also what was happening in the world around that time. I spent a lot of time at the National Art Library, having access to very rare documents, photographs, archives is a very unique thing at the V&A because everything is accessible in this library. For me, it's really interesting how a museum not only displays things but also keeps and archives things, because it is these mannerisms that make the museum what it is. The V&A has a really extensive textiles and photographic collections from India. One particular object in the V&A's South Asia collection is a shawl which depicts a map of Srinagar. It's a 2-meter by 2-meter shawl, exquisitely hand embroidered in detail, which tells the story of a city with its rivers, with its people. The shawl was also a great example of trade, of commissioning artists and artisans in India to create something for a European market. A lot of the clothes that we wear today are still manufactured in South Asia. This has made me think about also the relevance of a museum's collection today and what new stories does the museum document. One of the objects from the Rapid Response collections is a pair of jeans that was acquired from Primark. It was a jeans that was made in the factory complex that collapsed in Dhaka in 2013. Not only is it an object of everyday use, but also documents trade, history, and the politics of what this relationship means. 2017 marks 70 years of Indian independence. My project is a part of a larger series of cultural exchanges between the UK and India. I'm now working towards developing a set of artistic responses to everything that I've seen, read, been inspired and influenced by. I've been really interested in the philosophy and practice of collecting, and here I've had the opportunity to study the original impulses that started the ideas of the museum, the colonial impulse to map, to collect, to categorize, to order, organize. And I think this has been quite fascinating.